good. I'm good.
So I don't know actually what cutters you have. I mean, I do sort of, because I bought some. I think I scared the heck out of your mother.
She's fine. So I've got these ones, the plunger ones, and then I've got,
Yes.
got to figure out where in the camera it is. And then I've got these ones. I've got a 3 set of these, which is like smaller.
Awesome. Those are great.
And then, if necessary, I also have these, which are like.
Oh, I've also got those. I've got an old version, but the same one. Great. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Yeah, because I didn't want to make it that people would have to have specific cutters. You know, rather in a way just use the things that you've got, because, I mean, you know, I think the skill is the same whether it has a curved corner or a pointed corner or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what a curved corner is. That's another thing. So anyway, based on what I thought you had, I decided we're going to make these jasmines and the cherry blossoms, which I think we will be fine. You've got all the reference, so that's great. Okay. So before we start, we need to make, so just to go to the picture here, both of them are made on wires.
Okay.
So each flower is on its own little wire, and then at the end you join them all together. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So we just need to get our wires and things ready to start. For this, you're going to need whatever. I think I did put some wires in there for you. Just use what you've got. I don't remember what I put in there. And then as I was trying to pack them in, I dropped them all out again. Just one of those days, epic days.
Okay.
And you're going to need some florist tape.
Yeah.
I've cut mine into a thinner. Oh la la, going flying here. What's happening here? Sorry, I don't know what's going on with that. Doesn't really match my face. We're going to cut it into slightly thinner strips. So you want it to be like, I don't know, 2 millimeters width. You can just cut it with your scissors, or so just to show you what I used, I have a little tool that does it. We'll just have it open there. It's got little blades in there, and you just, it's like a little shredder, you just pull it through. But there's no reason you can't cut it with your scissors. Just so sort of cut along the length. Okay, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Yeah, the dog's
I'm assuming you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, hold on a second. Hey, yeah. Having a field day.
Any chance to fix this thing that fell over?
Okay, so you said cut it into thin-ish. So
I cut it into. I would normally. Oh, sorry. I normally cut it into 4, but
okay.
Sorry, but even if you just cut it in half lengthwise, that's fine.
Okay.
Basically, to wrap it around the wire, if you just use it at its full width, would be very difficult. It makes it clumpy and it doesn't go around nicely. You'll battle. So just that's how we're making it narrower.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, some people, what they do to make it go easier, quicker. Let's say you have so here's the tape as it comes in its full width.
Yeah.
Is take it and fold it in half, and in half, and half, and half. Like that, and then just cut along here. Okay. Does that make sense?
I'm getting it. I have the littlest scissors ever.
Those will be very helpful just now. It's a good thing that you got little scissors. I'm sorry, my dog is also making some crazy noise over here. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I've got. I raided my hobby cupboard, which has like the tiny scissors for sewing and like that kind of stuff. Okay.
That's perfect, because when we come to cutting, you'll see it will be much easier.
Okay, awesome. Right, I have the smallest little little things.
Perfect. That's perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so just to show you, so the jasmine just has one little one, and the cherry blossoms have lots of little stamens.
Okay.
So you don't have to do it like this. Just use what you got. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to carry on with that kind of style because that's okay. So I've got one single yellow one and my wire, and you want to be using your thinner wires. They come in when you buy them, they come in different gauges. So 18 gauge is the big fat one that we use for roses, and then these thinner ones, I think these are 26 or 28. I'm not actually 100% sure, they are not in their packaging anymore, but the thinner ones. And then you're going to take a tape. Where's that tape I have now? Okay. And you want to join the stamen onto the wire with the tape, basically. Oopsie.
So how much of the stamen do you want out? Just the.
So just to go back to this picture, if you look at this one, the stamen, the top of the stamen is right inside the flower.
Okay.
So not much, maybe less than a centimeter, half a centimeter. These ones, the little blossomy ones here, I don't know if you can really see it in this picture, but there's probably quite a bit of stamen sticking out. So when I do those ones, I'll put them much further away.
Okay.
That makes sense. Does that make sense? And I always find this part of this quite difficult because we haven't actually made the flower yet. It's very hard to kind of visualize what it's going to be like in the end. Okay. And to wrap this, so just wrap it around a few times. It's not actually sticky as such, but if you pull on it, it does get a bit kind of sticky. So kind of wrap it and pull it like that. Does that make sense? I don't know.
So you're going for like,
yeah, you got it.
How far down do you need to go?
So I would ordinarily actually just go to the end of the wire, like that.
Oh, okay.
But I'm also quite speedy. So some people battle more with it than I say, just stop there, it's fine. And if there's a little piece of tape, I got a little piece of tape sticking out, I'm just going to trim it off. It's going to get in the way otherwise. Oh, no, man. Okay. Something like that. Doesn't look like much, just. And then I'm just going to make one for my cherry blossom. I wanted to show you another way of doing it, just because, I don't know, because I can. I forgot to put this in the list though. So this is just normal white cotton thread.
Okay.
Okay. So you don't have to do this, just see what I'm doing. So I wrapped it around my fingers a few times. So there's like, I don't know, maybe 5 times. Don't know, I didn't actually count. Okay, so I've got a little bundle like that. And then you take one of these wires. I'm just going to make, these are pliers, I don't know, but you can just use your scissors. Just make a little hook in it. Can you see that there? Stick the cotton in it. So,
okay.
You're getting the idea here.
Yeah, and then do you just, once you've like closed the loop and wrap tape around it, do you then cut the other one to kind of make lots of stamens?
Exactly. So that's an easy way to make stamens if you don't have stamens, or it's really thin. So then you can just wrap it again the same way, just to make them all face upwards. Oh, come on. I'm not having good wrapping mojo today. Something like that. So then I've got these 2 little loops. So I'm trying to get it that it's in focus. There we go. You can just trim them here, cut them all the same length. And obviously these wired bits are not edible.
Yeah.
So then you've got like a little bundle of, and this you could, so for the cherry blossoms, the cherry blossom ones actually have a little bit of like a ball on the end, but if you wanted to, you could just dip it in some colored dust.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. So that's an option. And then the last option is to, I don't have pink ones. All I could find was these guys with the little ones on here. But the same idea, you can just take a little bunch of them. Actually, I want to take a little bunch like that. I'm just going to fold them in half. These ones have little bulletries on either end. And then tape it onto a wire. So those are the options. There's lots of ways of doing these middles. Whatever it is, it just needs to have something on the end of it.
Okay. So you're saying the jasmine ones, they have like one, and then the kind of cherry blossoms, they have many.
Many, yeah.
Okay.
And it's really up to you how kind of realistic you want your flowers to be. So I think it's quite fine to make, you know, a bunch of blossoms that are not any specific type of blossom, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I just printed those pictures because I thought it would be nice to have something to aim for. So there I've got a few stuck on there. Just sort of tease them out a bit. Some got bent. And as I said, these ones are yellow, but it doesn't really matter if you want to turn a yellow one into a pink one. Getting your They're not the pink ones.
And does the dust hold out on the stamens as well?
So when we finish with the flowers, which actually I won't be doing it on this because I don't have a kettle in here, but we steam them a little bit. So then it makes it stick on. So if you find it's coming off onto your flowers, just steam these first. So that takes away the extra dust that's on there and they just stick on. I've never really had a problem with it coming off while I'm working with it. So, and then I just steam my flowers at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
You mean you just put them like you put them on like in front of a steam iron, or do you put them in front like of a kettle or something?
So I just wait till some steam's coming on my kettle and then I just hold them in the steam.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but you could use a steam iron, or you could use I don't know, yeah, anything, just some steam. Pot, I suppose. The kettle's the easiest. Cool. Have you got something to go with?
I've got what is that? One of those wrapped. I realized that my wire is sticking out like above my wrap, so I'm gonna have to wrap it a little bit more. But yes.
I think it's okay. We can really cover it up with the flour.
Okay.
All right. So this, I think I stuck some in your box for you. This paste is the one that I like the best. And I don't know if you've ever used fondant with CMC in it. That I use for figurines and things. This, you'll see when you work with it, it's very, I don't know how else to describe it other than chewing gummy. So you can roll it super thin where you would never be able to roll fondant that thin. Even if you add more CMC, more CMC, more CMC, it just gets brittle and like crumbly. Whereas this has a really nice kind of, I don't know, chewing gum texture. And the other reason I like this, it's got a resealable bag. So just make sure you keep your other bits sealed up because they dry out quite easily. And then, so this petal base, but you could also just use Holsum, is like a white fat. Delicious. I don't know. There's nothing here that's feeling very sticky to me. But if it is feeling sticky, you can just grease up your surface where you're going to roll. You can grease up your rolling pin, whatever you need to grease up. If you do, as I say, I'm not finding my spot here very sticky, so I'm not too worried. Okay, which one should I start with? I'm going to start with the jasmine, if that's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Cool. So we're going to do what they call a Mexican hat flower. Okay.
Okay.
So start off with a small ball, I would say probably the size of a chickpea.
Okay.
I feel like I never know how to describe the size of these things. Okay. And you're going to roll it so to the point that it doesn't have too many cracks in it, a nice smoothish ball.
Okay.
Okay, shape it into a cone just by rubbing one side.
Yeah. Okay. Does it need to have
So
a
now
super point, or is it more rounded?
it doesn't matter. We're going to work with it some more. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter.
Okay.
Okay, now this fat side, we're going to use your fingers to pinch it into what they call a Mexican hat. Yeah, can you see that?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Looks very
Right.
toothy.
They look like, for me, like little elf hats. I don't know why they call it a Mexican hat. I don't find it very Mexican at all.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, if you had no cutter at all,
Yeah.
you would come along with your scissors at this point and, oh, what is that stuff? And just cut in probably 5 times. Usually these petals are 5 or 6 petals. Can you see that? And then
Yeah.
just where you've cut it, just pinch it together. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
Then you would take, so I don't know if you have one of these, then you would take something like this with the holes in it.
Okay.
And you would stick it in, and using your bone tool or some kind of tool, you can just push down on each little petal to thin it out and make it more attractive.
Okay.
Are you with me? Okay,
Yeah.
that's if you have no cutter. We have a variety, I'm just going to leave that guy there for a minute. We have a variety of cutters to choose from, so I'm going to show you some other ways to do it. So I'm just starting a new one. Ball, cone, Mexican hat. Uh-oh. Okay, next option. So you just put it down flat onto your surface, and using, this is the back of my paintbrush, you can roll it a bit thinner, just around the edges. So I don't know if you can see this one that I cut. It's very chunky.
Yeah.
It's very fat.
Okay.
So that's why I'm rolling this guy a bit thinner. And then you can use your cutter. So now, again, you just want to see what kind of cutter you've got. This one is too big for this one, but this is like a metal one where it's actually got a hole in it. Then you would just simply put it over and cut it. It's too big for that one. If you had like your, you've got this one.
Yeah.
The smaller one, this guy. Then you would just put it on there. It's actually too small. So you could put it into the Mexican hat hole thingy and then cut, or you can just put it over and just use your fingers to cut it out. Like that.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's very, okay, there we go.
You with me?
Yeah.
I made this extremely tiny one and now I've crushed it in my fingers. Okay, here we go. All right. Or if you wanted to use this guy, I think you can either take it apart, so you can just take them apart like this and stick it over, or if you have something with the holes in it, you just put it in the holes and then cut from the top like this.
Okay.
So
Oh, wow.
whatever cutter you've got, just figure a way to cut it out, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, come back. Come back. Oh,
I don't know, I'm regretting making this incredibly tiny one. I should have made a slightly bigger one. Anyway, never mind. Okay. Oh la la, what is going on here? And try and get a nice clean cut. I don't know if you can see mine. It's got these like fluffy edges, which is not good.
Yeah, I've also got scratchy edges.
To get a good clean cut, you just have to rub it with your finger before you take it off. and I was just a bit lazy.
Okay. So then it goes. Oh. Ooh.
Right, then using whatever you've got. So I'm just going to use the back of my paintbrush, but you could use, if you had a tool like this, you could use that to poke it in. If you have a tool like this, when you poke it in, it will make, let me just do it so you can see, it will make, I don't know if you can see that, like a star.
Okay.
Or you could use, if you have the bone tool, just poke that in a bit to make it cup upwards. Whatever you've got, just push down in the middle just to make it cup upwards.
Okay. Okay. So you need it.
And if you want to thin the edges, you can do that. I don't know, mine's quite dainty. I'm not too worried about it. Just to make it more. And then if you want to add a vein to each petal, you can also do that. Again, that depends on the type of flower you make. I just want to see if this guy doesn't really have veins on him. But if you did want to add a vein, just take a toothpick and press down onto each petal. This is really tiny. I don't know if you can see this. But basically just to push in that vein shape.
Okay.
Okay. And then once you've got it to sort of the shape that you want, take your middle thingy that you've made, so that's this guy, and push it down into the center of the flower. And then just pull it down to the, so that the stamen is where you want it. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to pull it right down. Maybe I do. I don't know.
Camera. There we go. Like that?
That's looking great.
Okay. It's tiny.
It could maybe be a little thinner. It looks the petals look it's a little bit chunky to me.
Oh, okay. Wait. Oh, where's the camera in this thing? Okay, there we go.
Okay, so that
it needs to be a bit thinner. Okay, so it's right. Okay.
But just hang with me. It's okay. So this part here, you can see I don't have very much paste here. You've got quite a big blob there.
Yeah.
So just like twiddle it between your thumb and finger, and then if there's a lot extra, just put it off the bottom. But basically, just you want it to taper down to a single kind of point.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Right.
Right. Yes, that's looking great. Looking great. Okay, now we're going to make the calyx. So let me just show you on this picture. So I don't know if you can see here.
Yeah.
There. The calyx is like this green thing on the bottom. Okay. So I haven't left myself anything to do this with. I wish I had not made this flower quite so tiny. Okay. So take your tiny scissors and you're just going to snip in. And I just do 3 because, to be honest, doing more than 3, I find a bit of a challenge. And I'm not sure anyone really looks at this part of the flower that much. And then just peel it back a little bit so that you've got the shape of that calyx. Can you see it?
Yeah.
But I guess technically if you had 6 petals, you would have to have six little calyx things. And if you had 5, you should have 5. I can't even.
Yeah, no one's going to be judging me on my flower technique as far as I know. So I'm good. Okay, so this seems incredibly like you would end up losing this. Oh, okay. No, that didn't work.
If you end up just cutting it right off, just take it off and then go again.
Yeah, so you cut it and then you. Okay.
So don't cut completely in. And cut at an angle. So when you cut, your scissors are at like this angle.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That looks good. It looks good from here, from what I can see. Okay, so there's your little blossom guy. And usually what you see on these, and then I'm just keeping them in my polystyrene. Usually what you see in a spray like this is you'll have some big, some, there's not really a medium one on this one, sort of a big, medium, and then a bud. So we're going to make a bud next. But if you want to make another one for your spray, I don't know what time. I have an ability to tell the time on this thing. Oh, okay. Okay, so for the buds, just go back to this picture again. So this is the Jasmine Bud. So it's like long and thin, and then it's got a sort of a bulb on the top. If you look at the cherry bud, it's really more of a ball. So again, depending on how realistic you want them, see, it doesn't really matter. Just go with, again, if you just want to say I'm making fantasy flowers and they are what they are, that's also fine. I can get a bit carried away with the shape of buds and things, you know. Okay, so for this, you're just going to use a wire.
Okay.
We don't put anything on it, just going to stick the wire in once you've got it. Small ball, I don't know, probably smaller than the one that you started with last time.
Okay.
Make it into a cone again. So sometimes, not for the jasmine, but sometimes I just leave it like that. So it's just a cone. And then I just make the, like a, press in with a toothpick on the top. Just got a crack in it. Just, you know. For this guy, you kind of, so it goes from a point at the bottom and then it fattens out and then it narrows down again.
Okay, yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
As I say, I don't know, don't overthink it. Where's the picture? I say don't overthink it, but that's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay, so you're kind of looking like a cotton swab, one of those, like.
Yes, that's actually a very good description.
Okay.
Okay, then stick it on your wire. I lost the wire I had this somewhere. And just push the wire in from the bottom. And usually once I stick the wire in, it becomes a little bit misshapen in that process. So you don't want to reshape it anyway. And again, the same thing here, just pull this down to a point. And then put your calyx in again. He's going to fall off. And then at the top, I can't really see on this picture, but you can just make some little indents. So the bud, obviously it's got these indents where the petals are, and the petals will then open up from there. And the indents, so, I mean, really, I need like a magnifying glass phone thing for some of these details. The indents, just now I'm going to just dust them with a bit of dust. So the colored dust will lodge in where those little lines are, just highlighting them slightly. So again, I don't think you need to have them, but it does just make it look a little bit more realistic.
Okay.
That looks good.
Okay. Right. So, okay.
Cool. Do you want to move on to the cherry blossom?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to leave those guys to dry a bit and I'll come back and dust them just now. So the cherry blossom is the same kind of method, but it has very much a rounded petal situation. So just use what you've got. This is what I mean by rounded here, but this one I think is a bit big. I'm not going to use him. I've got these guys.
Okay, so I have those two. I don't.
Yes.
And there's a bigger one. I don't know which one makes more sense, like the tiny one or the slightly bigger.
Go with the smallest one that you have. Okay, so same thing. We're going to start with a Mexican hat. So, just to show you again here. In fact, this one has quite a big calyx on the back here. You can use either that kind of cutter, or from the rose set, there's specifically a calyx cutter that looks like this. Or we can try cutting it out. I think it's a bit big to cut it out. We can try.
Yeah. Okay.
My feeling is it was cut separately and stuck on.
Okay.
But anyway, so start off with this kind of a little bit bigger, I think. Okay. So start off with your Mexican hat. It doesn't have to be quite so long a point because it's a much shorter, squatter flower. It's not so long and thin. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Okay, this guy does look more like a sombrero. Okay, stick it on there. I'm just going to roll it a bit thinner. And obviously, it depends on the size of the cake you're making. So if you have a big, you can make these big or small, I think, depending on if you wanted to make like a cupcake size or, Okay, so from that little set, this blue set of mine, that's the biggest one. But it's not huge. It's like maybe 2 centimeters across. I don't know, maybe less. Okay, so I'm going to stick it on there. I'm going to try and get a nice clean cut, which I failed to do last time. You could also just use your back of your brush to make sure it's cut through nicely. And the cherry blossoms are very specific. So where we've used green tape on all of these, the cherry blossom always has brown tape. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh wow!
But
okay.
I don't actually. It's very specific. I don't have brown tape, so we're not doing brown ones today. But just so you know, it's just one of those little details. Oh, I still didn't come to it. Nice. It's getting cut. Here we go. Okay, so rounded petals, nice hat shape.
Okay. Mine isn't a very clean cut, but
Okay. Don't worry about it. You can sort of try and clean them up with your fingers. It's just more effort,
Yeah.
Press down in the middle so it's nice and shaped. And this one, okay, I'm using this kind of little pointed tool. What kind of tools do you have to show me what you've got? Let me use the tool that you've got. Show me the other end of that guy.
I got the bigger one. I've also got a smaller one, a much smaller one as well. Okay, yeah, I have a much smaller one as well.
You have one with no teeth on it, like just a plain round one.
Yeah, like a coney shape.
Yes, perfect. Let's use the cone. Okay.
Okay.
So just stick it in there and just work it a little bit, open it up.
Okay. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Yes. There is a hole.
There's a hole. It doesn't have to be a giant hole, just a middle. And then I think again, just use what you've got. Do you have one like this?
Yes. Sort of.
Okay,
Yes.
so
okay.
I cannot get this thing right. So then she keeps jumping around and it's totally confused all the time. Okay, so this guy looks like a hockey stick, golf club, maybe. And my one it's kind of pointed at the back, so you use it backwards and make a few little veins on each one. You could just use a toothpick as well. Or you could use that one with the teeth in it, like the toothy cone. Can you see that? Oh, there we go.
Okay, right.
That's
My
it?
hole in the middle doesn't look as pretty.
It's okay. You remember, we're going to stick the thing in the middle in a minute.
Yeah. Okay. So then it has to have little veiny things like that, right?
That looks great. That looks perfect.
Okay. Does it need to have bigger veins, or is that kind of?
So again, the veins. Let me show you the finished guy here. The veins are. The veins are where the color will congregate. So it's not that the veins are very deep or anything, but that's where the color will highlight. So you need to make some kind of something for that color to collect in there.
Okay.
I think what you've done is great. Okay, I just want to thin my edges of these a bit. If you do, sorry, let me run this guy. So if you've got this petal pad, sorry, can you see what my children do? This is why I have so many gray hairs. Look at this. Anyway, just stick it down so that its cone is upwards. And then using, again, what tool do you have? Do you have a ball tool, something like this maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which size do you? There's like 4 sizes.
Oh, no. I would use one of the medium ones.
Okay.
Something on that end. And then you're just going to thin the edge a bit. All we want to do is just make the edge of the petal nice and thin. That's all. So just rub it on the edge. If your petal pad is brand new, like yours is, hopefully it won't stick. Mine is not feeling very sticky, but what you can do is make yourself a little bag like this. This is just a normal like washing cloth, and inside is maizena, corn flour or something, and just make a little, so that you can like make a fine dusting of maizena if you're really sticking. I don't think it's going to be that bad. You know, maybe in summer when it's more humid, and although it's probably quite humid today. What am I saying? I don't really know. I'm not a Cape Townian. I don't understand about the weather. Okay. Is it working?
Yeah, I've got very thin. I've got very, very, very thin edges.
That's a good thing. I think it's one of those things you can never be too rich or too thin when it comes to flowers.
Okay.
Okay, then you're going to take your middle. I don't know what you got now. I'm going to use this guy that I made.
Okay, I've just cut the ends off the other side of my yellow ones to make white.
Perfect. Perfect.
So I'll just put them in here and wrap them quickly.
All you're going to do exactly the same like we did with the other ones. You're just going to push it in down the middle.
Okay.
And oh, my tape is coming off. I've got a malfunction here. Got so much tape coming off in so many directions. I don't even know what is happening here. Basically, we don't want any of this green tape showing out the inside of the flower.
Okay.
We just want to see the stamens. Oh, just get on there. Oh. So you want to pull it right down into the flower so that you can't see the green.
Should I be putting pink on it before I put it in the flower, or can I put pink on it afterwards?
I think you can put it on afterwards.
Okay.
Because we're going to dust them. And then the same thing at the back here. Mine is firstly very long now and quite cracky. So I'm just going to kind of pinch away some of it. I don't want all that. Here we go. And so, oopsie, sometimes they seem to come a bit loose. Just squeeze it on there. Just sort of mash it on there. And at this stage, if you wanted to just do a calyx like you did the other one, you could just cut it on. I'm going to try cutting one out, I think.
Okay.
What color is that calyx? Like a dark red. I'm really not going to mix dark red. Okay, it'll just be a white one, maybe a green one. I'm going to put the paste. They're quite dusted here.
So when you make the thing underneath, do you just roll it out like another flower and then put it on as like an underneath flower?
So for this calyx, you just go, I would roll it out just flat like this.
Okay.
And then just cut it out. Where's that little calyx that I had there? I think this is going to be too big actually for the flower I have. What I also have, but I don't have it in this room with me, is a very small star cutter that I sometimes use for small flowers. It's like a tiny little star that I use. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. As I say, no one's really looking at the bucket. But you would just cut it out and then push it on the back like that. Yeah, this is much too big. See, that's not going to work for me. Rethink. Okay. What you could also do, if you wanted to do like a double flower. So I'm trying to think what flowers have that. Maybe like a fuchsia, something like that. You could do just the one flower like we've done.
Yeah.
And then cut another flower and just stick it on the back, but a flat one. And not a,
okay.
Actually, maybe stick it on the front. Wait, what am I thinking? Should I try cutting it out? I'm gonna regret this.
Ooh, no, don't disappear. Don't disappear. Should have made a hole in this.
Okay, it's not terrible. It's good. So that I did just by cutting it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I've attempted to cut a little star flower that I had.
I don't know. All my ones are too big for the things that I've got here.
Okay. So if I need to get the other flower on here, I feel like all I'm doing is pushing the gum paste up instead of like, how do I get the flower?
That's because I think I'm telling you absolute nonsense. What I think you need to, let me just do another one quickly for you. I think what you need to do is do it the other way around. So you do the first, here's the flower, do the first flower.
So you do the calyx first.
So you have one flower like that. Then you do your Mexican hat one. That. And then put this one on top like that. Then you'll have a double. Sorry, I don't know why I'm telling you such nonsense. Let's now make it clean. Okay, so I've thinned the edges of this hat part, and then I made another one which I've also thinned the edges of a bit. This, I think you would probably need to glue it together. I've just got a bit of glue in there in a small brush. A tiny bit of glue just to hold it together. And I feel like for a double, I would put them at an angle, not directly on top of each other.
Okay.
And then from there, you can push in your hole, and you've got like, I don't know, like a double one.
And then the calyx underneath, like if you had to get it onto like onto the wire, so you'd have like the calyx thing underneath.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So okay, so let me just finish this guy a bit. I'll put a calyx on him. Oh, that's going to also come loose. Just get in there. Just get in there.
Okay, yeah.
So like this, it's too pointed. You can put a calyx on it if you just roll out something for the calyx. So let's say this is our calyx here. I'm going to just use, what is the smallest thing I've got here? This one. Sorry. Chaos in here. So this is just a very small flower cutter, but I'm just going to use it. Okay. So if I put this on the bottom here, I feel like it's not going to. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Actually looks quite cute, but it's not cupping over this whole big cone. Okay.
Okay.
So either you need to pinch away from the cone to make the bottom more rounded and less pointed, or the other option is to cut a slightly bigger shape and size. Try to find one that will fit nicely in here, maybe this one. And then put it onto your petal pad. Okay. We're actually going to do this just now with the roses, so we'll recap this. And just use that ball tool. I'm going to use the small little ball tool, this guy, because my thing is quite small. But just push down in the middle, not, I don't know, circles in the middle. Can you see that it makes it?
Yeah. Okay.
Like a cone. I don't know. It's so tiny. And then that might fit better over the bottom of whatever you've made. There we go.
Okay.
That actually looks quite cute now. And again, this you might want to put a bit of glue. I don't know, mine seems to be sticking, but it's the kind of thing that I would glue normally. I did not glue this one.
Okay.
Because there's nothing more irritating than you make a flower and then once they dry, like a piece falls off it.
I'll keep that in mind.
Okay. The bud for this guy is really just a ball. Again, let me just show you this picture again. So it's just a ball with the veins in it, and then it's got this calyx on the bottom. I'm having quite good luck with this rounded flower shape for the calyx. So I'm going to just use this guy. But you can use your, I feel like you had one like this, maybe your smallest rose cutter thingy.
Yeah, I've got a plungy thing that I could
Or the plungy thing. Okay, so there he is. Just a ball. I'm just going to stick it on the wire. So if you're worried that it's going to come off the wire, you've got a few options. You can dip your wire in some glue and then stick it in. Or some people, I don't do this, I don't know, I'm lazy, I guess. Some people will heat up the wire in a flame until it's like red hot and then stick it in. And it kind of burns it on there. I don't know, it seems too dramatic for me. But it does work very well. And then just press in some, so if you've used a 5 petal one, try and press in 5 little lines. And when I'm doing 5, dividing things into 5 is not that easy. I try to think of like a man with his arms in the air or something. Like the Vitruvian man or whatever his name is, that guy. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to stick this Calyx on, but it's white. I'm going to hopefully dust it a different color just now. Let's see. So I'm just going to cut out a little, the same shape I used on the other one, this little flower shape. So there's my bud with the little Calyx moguji on the back here. And the general rule about these things is that when the flower is closed, so it's still a bud, these things stick all the way up. When the flower is open, they tend to peel back down again. So, okay. I mean, we are really nitpicking now, but you can just glue it so that it sticks fully on. I think for this, you could even use this shape, would be quite nice.
Okay, right, yeah.
I don't know. I've used the roundy one, but it doesn't feel, maybe if I just pinch them a bit. Oh, there we go. That looks okay. And then a little ball on the back. So just a little, like, a lentil-sized ball. Uh-oh. Just stuck on the back like that.
Okay, right. Huh. Yeah, I'm very much more of, I know the sprays have like all these like little things. I would be that person that made all of them open.
Yeah, so obviously just make flowers if that's what makes you happy. I'm just showing you because, so yeah, this is what makes them look super realistic, is having the variety of different sizes and having some buds and whatever. And to be honest, so when I am making for like a wedding cake or something, I usually make lots of buds because buds are quicker than flowers. So,
okay, yeah.
You know, I'll make a lot of buds just so that if it comes to the day and I feel like it's not quite as big as I want it to be, I can always use the buds, or, you know, just to bulk it up basically.
Okay, yeah, no, I get that one. I won't be making wedding cakes anytime soon, so it's fine.
I'm seeing. Yeah. I'm doing a leaf for this whole scenario. This is just very much a flower today.
Yeah, no, I am very much a hobby baker. I'm very much not a anyone else can order it baker.
I think that's cool. I don't know. I find since I've done it for a living, it's not as fun as it used to be.
Yeah, I have a grateful audience at work when I'm normally at the office, and so I get to try out all these crazy things on them, and then they're like, oh, that's cool, and then I'm like over it. I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. I know, and people always say like, well, you know, what did your children have for their birthday? And I'm like, well, no, they had donuts from Woolies. Kind of.
Yeah, whatever.
Exactly. They don't care. I don't care. It's anyone else that worries about it. Okay, so for the sort of second to last step is to dust them. I am looking for so this is a food color dust. I don't know if you have any dusts, but don't panic. I'm just gonna it's so cool. So this one's like a white
Okay.
pearlescent one. This one is a pinkish one, and then I've got a bit of like green, also pearl though. Who knew? Okay, maybe green pearl was a step too far. Let's see if we have another pearly one. There we go. So for this, having a small brush is good. Of course, I didn't bring my small brush. All I have is a giant one. But what you want is something that's fluffy-ish. So that's got a bit of bend in it. So maybe not your one that you would use for painting a thing, like a neat line. And I usually use like one of these things, little paint pot, just to, you know, kind of dust off. And you really do not need a lot here. If you're nervous about making it a pink flower, which also is actually fine, just sort of water it down. I'm using this white pearl dust, but you could just use Mazina. You don't need anything special, just to make it paler.
Okay, so you put
a huge brush.
I don't have my fluffy brush with me. So you said
any brush is fine. I'm using this one, but it's enormous. I wish I'd bought a smaller one. I didn't. But what you're trying to do, let me see if I can do it with this one. What you're trying to do is get the pink in the middle here. Actually, that small one works quite nicely. Never mind. Yeah, just go with your small one. Because that's where the color is, basically. On the blossom, on the buds, sorry, you just sort of drift over the top with a bit of pink or whatever you've got. Doesn't have to. I guess you don't want to have like a blob of pink. You just want a kind of a blush of pink.
Okay. Right.
I feel like I'm talking nonsense today. And then if you look here, where was one with, oh, this one has some veins in it there. You should find that the veins will become kind of highlighted by the pink. I don't know. Oh, that looks great. Beautiful.
Okay. I'm using like the tiniest brush ever, but it's okay.
I don't think it really matters. Also, my flowers aren't completely dry. This is much easier when your flowers are fully dry. I would, if I was doing this, I would leave them to dry overnight and put dust them the following day. I wouldn't try and dust them when they're wet like this. Just because it's very easy to accidentally push it off the wire. You know, so many things can go wrong.
Yeah.
And then on the back, so where the calyx is, I'm going to make these calyxes green. Actually, is that the plural of calyx? You also just, you don't want to make the whole thing like bright green. It's just a hint on those calyxes there. Calyx, I don't know what the plural that is. And you can always build the color up by doing more and more layers, rather than going in heavy and then ending up with green everywhere. This is very lumo, very shimmery.
Turns out I ended up with glitter green, so that.
I also seem to have glitter green again. I don't know what's going on here. I think it's fine. So there's my back. I don't know.
Yeah, my alternative is lime. I have lime that isn't, or I have like.
The lime is usually quite nice. Emerald
glitter green.
I don't know. It's a glitter day. What can we say?
Let's see what this looks like. I was trying to make succulents.
Oh, cool. We should actually, if I remember just now, we can do a bit of a succulent. Because that set that you've got is great for succulents, that rose cutter set.
Yeah. I didn't actually use cutters. Well, no, I did for the one set. I did use cutters. I did it in marshmallow fondant, not gum paste.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because they're so fat. They're very, you can make them out of anything. They're actually great. Okay, so there it's got my pink dusting on the, does it have? No, it doesn't. Oh la la. Okay, a little hint of pink on the top, a little hint of green on the back. That's really all you need to do for the buds. And then once you've dusted everything, you can join them together. I'll show you how to do that. How are we doing for time? Oh, yeah. Okay. Perfect. So when the plants grow on the, well, whatever, the flowers grow on the plant, whatever it is, I don't know. Usually they grow from the bud at the top to the biggest flower at the bottom. So, sorry, let me just put this piece away. You're going to take your bud ones first. Okay. So there's a bud. Take a bit of your tape. It's either very narrow or very wide. Okay. So you're going to wrap a bit of tape around the wire. Starting with the bud or the smallest flower that you have, if you don't have any buds.
Okay.
Just because the way that it grows, as it grows longer, you know, the buds are at the end.
Yeah.
And the smallest flower, you know what I mean? Okay. Then you take your next biggest flower and just sort of lay it next to the wire and then tape them together. And then your next biggest flower, oopsie, oh la la. And lay that next to it and tape them together. And then your biggest flower. I've got a real mishmash of flowers here. And again, this is much easier if they're completely dry. I don't know if you can see here, like I squashed it on there, but if it was dry, that would never have happened.
Okay.
So if you're doing this, like really doing this, do this, let them dry in between. Okay, and then I would tape all the way down to the end so that all those little ends of those wires are covered, so that you have a nice kind of smooth stem effect. Can you see?
Oh, you've got them quite close together. Okay.
They don't have to be this close together. And then once you've got them all attached, then you actually do the arranging. So just by bending the wires, play around with it. Depends on the type of flower. Some of them, oopsie. Some of them, it looks like, I don't know what's happening. Some of them kind of bend. Where's our pictures? So these actually, she doesn't have them that way around. Her buds are at the bottom. Maybe that's right. I don't know. But anyway, you know, just kind of bend them so that they look attractive in some way. And having a picture of the real thing is very, these are sugar flowers, but having a picture of like the real thing on its bush is very helpful, because then you can see how does it bend, you know, certain flowers. So like a freesia, they all bend down in one direction, like boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
But just, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it really matters. I think we're firmly into fantasy flowers, yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
Okay. Oh, twirling, 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 twirling.
Twirling, twirling, twirling. And sometimes it also depends on where it's going on the cake. So if you want it to be kind of cascading, then you will bend it so that it can cascade down the side of the cake or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
If you want it to be something standing up straight on the cake and giving it height, then you'll have it like that, you know, whatever.
So then you're saying bandage.
I don't
Oh,
know
I think
this
close, too close together. And then bandage. 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 Okay. I didn't bend it in any true direction.
Oh, that's great. That's perfect. So yeah, mine for some reason are all coming out one side, but if you, so I don't know if you can see that, they're all sticking out that side.
Yeah.
But if you didn't want it like that, then you would just move them around to go how you want them.
Okay.
So for me, the first thing is getting them joined together, then arranging them.
Okay.
And again, it depends on the type of flower that it is. Some of them, this needs to be quite long. Sometimes it needs to be right up close to the main stem. Again, just depends on the type
Okay.
of flower, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. And then we're going to do roses at 11. I'm just going to go and make
Yes.
more coffee and tidy up a little bit here. Find the cutter. Find the big brush, the small brush. I don't know what brushes I need. I don't know what's going on here. I think there's a different link for that one. Do you have it?
Yes, I do. Awesome.
Awesome. I'll see you
I'll
in a
see
minute.
you at 11.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.